I'm Dr. Jack Sternberg of the Garland Tea Party, and I write a weekly newsletter, and I always have a photograph in it. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to turn around and take a selfie of me and this crowd. That's the way to get started, right? Okay, before I get into my introduction of my friend, Asa Hutchinson, Governor Hutchinson, Pastor Jackson, you have motivated me. You said stand up for the truth. So I want to share with the group a piece of truth about myself and my wife, so that you know who we are. My wife. I'm serious. My wife and I are both born and raised Jewish. 35 years ago, we stood up for truth when we realized the truth that Jesus Christ was our Lord, Savior, and Messiah. It has made all the difference in our life and our world and our family's life and world. And it is such an honor to be part of this group, the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. It is such an honor to be the chairman of the Garland County Tea Party, one of the two most active tea parties in the state. Let me tell you about Governor Hutchinson. As I said, I've been asked to introduce him. What can I possibly tell this room that you don't already know? You're so educated about politics. You know the past history of the governor, and no group knows more about Governor Hutchinson's legislative activity than the Tea Party. Governor Hutchinson has been our governor now for about the last 10 months. His administration has been very active, and I only wish that he had time to tell you of his accomplishments and especially of his future goals. So, my introduction to him today will be about the man that I know personally. During the time that he was running for governor, Asa was in the Hot Springs area. I contacted him and I said, why don't you stay over our house rather than taking a motel room or running back to Little Rock? So one night he arrived in his suit, tie, white shirt. He came in the house at 9:30. He went upstairs to the guest room, came down, to our surprise, in blue jeans. At that point, Asa and I went down under the house to what's known affectionately as the man cave. Yeah. And it was during that time that I got to know our future governor. To my surprise, when we went down there, the first thing that he said to me was, tell me about you and tell me about your life. And I went on to explain my life story, my testimony, how I came to the Lord, what I had been doing in medicine, what I was doing in the Tea Party. I was shocked that somebody in politics wasn't going to talk about themselves, but wanted to know about me. We then talked about our Christian faith, our Christian history, our spirituality. I really felt I was getting to know the man. He asked me about many issues, Common Core, private option, and many other things that all of us in this room are so interested in. I was so surprised that the night wasn't about him. He cared about me, as he does all Arkansans. This is the Asa Hutchinson that I have gotten to know. He is my friend, and I cherish our friendship. Governor Hutchinson, we welcome you to the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance.
Thank you, Jack and Marilyn. Thank you for hosting me in your wonderful home, giving me your fellowship, your friendship, but also your leadership in the Tea Party and in community affairs. And by the way, I read your newsletter this morning. Very good points we'll have to talk about. I wanted to come here today on a Saturday and tell you that what you're doing is important. I want to thank you for being politically engaged, and I want to encourage you to continue to be politically engaged next year, because the future of our country is at stake. And the Tea Party Coalition, those that are engaged in the trenches, provide the energy. They provide the conservative values that are important for the future of our country, and yes, for politicians across the board to be reminded of what life is like in the street, to be reminded of the values that you hold dear. And so I applaud you for that, I encourage you, and I want you to stay engaged. Jack mentioned some history that we've got to know each other. But if you look back further in my history, and some of you know this, I started in politics in the 1970s against Jimmy Carter and 90% taxation rates. Yes, if you got to a certain income level, the government would take 90% of every dollar that you made. I was engaged in fighting that and supporting Ronald Reagan for President of the United States. I joined Ronald Reagan's team as a United States Attorney, a federal prosecutor in the trenches. And I saw big government out of Washington and being controlled, and in Arkansas being represented by the old liberal philosophy. And yes, as a young man, I ran for the United States Senate fighting big government, running against Dale Bumpers, liberal lion of the Senate. And then I joined and continued to be engaged in politics, fighting the big government machines of Bill Clinton here in Arkansas. I got elected to the United States Congress, and I fought for those conservative values. We balanced the budget, and when I was in Congress, we had the last balanced budget our country has ever experienced. And then I came back to Arkansas, and I ran in 2006 for the same conservative values that you stand for, that I fought for, and guess what? I did not prevail. But then I ran again in 2014, and I had an opportunity to campaign with you. I had some of your support. I didn't have all of your support. And that's okay, because I value you. You have a good message, and it's a message that needs to be heard. And so I got elected as governor 10 short months ago. And to me, the most important quality of a politician, of somebody who serves the public, is that they do what they say they're going to do.
Amen.
And you know, my campaign, first of all, we said we're going to have a $100 million income tax reduction. Thanks to the legislators in this room, we passed the largest reduction of our income tax rate in the history of Arkansas. I said we're going to review Common Core and Common Core testing. We did exactly that, and as a result of the recommendations, it went to the State Board of Education to cancel the contract with Park. And the State Board of Education on the first vote said, no, we're going to continue with Park. And then I realized it was nice to be governor. I replaced 2 of the State Board of Education members. We won that vote, and we ended Park testing in Arkansas. And then, when we saw the horrific videos across this nation of Planned Parenthood, while that was Planned Parenthood National, there was an affiliation of Planned Parenthood of the Heartland that operated the clinics here in Arkansas. And I said that ethical conduct and ethical behavior should be a criteria of being a Medicaid provider in Arkansas, and I directed my head of DHS, Human Services, to cancel the contract with Planned Parenthood. It was the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yes.
I said that it's important that we have smaller government. it was a priority of mine that we grow the private sector of our economy more than the public sector of our economy.
Yes.
And so I have gone about not only promoting Arkansas businesses. Yesterday I was in Mountain Home. I was in Melbourne announcing new employment opportunities for our workers in the field in Arkansas. More job opportunities, creating jobs. I've traveled, I've marketed, I've worked, I've created the environment, and growing the private sector of our economy is a priority with me, and we're doing that. But it's also about constraining the growth and reducing the growth of state government. And so one of the first things that I did as governor is to require all regulations not simply to be adopted by an agency and published, but they have to come through the governor's office for a review to constrain the growth of regulations. Secondly, we put in a hiring freeze in which no agency can fill positions without the express approval of the governor's office. As a result of that hiring freeze, we have saved taxpayers money and we've reduced positions in state government. And so, when it came to some of the needs of our state, I looked around our state and I said that we need to have more foster parents for the children that are in need of help and protective custody. And so I did not just simply say we're going to grow government. I said we're going to enlist the help of our faith-based community and our churches and our nonprofit organizations, and I held a faith-based summit. Had over 500 leaders from our churches and our nonprofits here in Arkansas asking them to step up to the plate, and they're already working, but to do more to meet the needs of our children and to give ex-offenders coming out of prison a second chance in our society. And so it's not all about government. It's about the bigger vision as to what we can do together as a state in critical areas. So those are some of the things that I have done as governor. I hope that you'll say, I did what I promised to do. And some of you, thank you. Some of you wanted me to promise more. I promised what I would do, and we have done that. And we continue to work with you on new challenges that we face. When it comes, so let's talk about the future. Let's talk about what we have to do now, because we've got more to do. First of all, we want to continue to grow the private sector. We've got to continue to flatten our income tax rate in Arkansas and be more competitive. I want to be able to do that over the long term. We take it step by step, but we have not ended tax reductions in Arkansas just with the first step of what we did this year. I promised that we were going to have computer science in every high school in Arkansas, and we fulfilled that commitment. But we want to continue to do that. That is important to grow our economy as well. Something that is a modest expenditure, retraining our teachers, offering it in our classrooms, not mandating that everybody take it, but offering it. And as a result of that, there are 1,600 students in Arkansas that are taking computer coding that never had that opportunity before. That is success. But in terms of the future, when it comes to our Medicaid population in Arkansas, those that are on Medicaid, I say that if you are an able-bodied person, then there should be a requirement to be referred for work training. Secondly, if you are on welfare, if you are on Medicaid, and you're making above the federal poverty level and on Medicaid, then you should pay part of the premium cost. And then, if you are on TANF, or if you are on welfare, then, and you are suspected of drug use, then you should be drug tested. Our legislation actually directed a pilot program that we are implementing to accomplish exactly that. And then if you are not eligible because of your income for a social program, then you should not be on that program. I got some facts this year because we actually tried to make sure that all of those that are on Medicaid are actually eligible to be on Medicaid. You remember that? And we would send out a notice, and they would, if they would have to provide some information to show that they are still eligible for Medicaid. And this is after we did some data searches as to their income levels, and those we had a reasonable question as to whether they were eligible or not. We sent out a notice to verify. Well, we did not hear from tens of thousands of those. You remember that? And so what did we do when we didn't hear from tens of thousands of people? We terminated them from the Medicaid program. About that. And then the John Stephen report came in this last week that said they did some checking with LexisNexis, and there were 40,000 people on Medicaid that had out-of-state addresses.
Wow.
And so, maybe that explains the reason that we were not getting a response to everybody that we were making our notices to. And when we were eliminating them, perhaps it's because they were out of state and left the state of Arkansas. And so, we don't do things perfectly. Let me tell you, we're having a hard time getting a handle on all of the major contracts and really remedying the errors that were made in the prior administration on some of these contracts. We are trying to manage it better, more efficiently, and protect the taxpayers of Arkansas. And I want you and I know you've got a long program ahead, but let me end where I started, and that is with Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan is a mentor of mine. I served in his administration. And Ronald Reagan fought for lower government, less government, fewer regulations, lower taxes that Jimmy Carter had. And guess what? He did it with a smile on his face every day. And I love the optimism of Ronald Reagan. And yes, when I look at where we're going as a state, I share that optimism. I'm excited about it. We have more challenges at the federal level, and it's a little bit harder to get optimistic. But let me tell you, I believe in elections. Elections make a difference.
Yes.
And whenever I can appoint good people to positions in state government that will come to me and say, we're not spending the money that we had left over from the budget, we're turning it back to the general treasury. That's a good thing. And I can appoint Supreme Court justices like Howard Brill that I just appointed as Chief Justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference at the federal level who president is. We have experienced that over the last 8 years. Let's change it. Let's change the direction of America. And let's do it with the optimism and the confidence that Ronald Reagan taught our country. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. And I would like to present a couple of traveler certificates if they are here. Are they here? Bill Hennessy and Rafael Cruz? Who? If they're here, come on up.
Cruz right here. Right here.
I would like to present you with something, Mr. Cruz and Bill Hennessy. That's terrific. Good. Well, first of all, I want to welcome you and thank you for being here.
Great to be here with you.
And thank you for your history. I know Ted very well, and let me tell you, he's told me stories about you. They're good stories. They're an encouragement and an inspiration. Bill, come on up here as well. Welcome and thank you for being here. We have a tradition in Arkansas that we present our guests Arkansas Traveler Certificates. The Arkansas Traveler was someone that came in that went to one of our rural homes in Arkansas, basically a cabin of a very poor itinerant farmer. And the traveler came in and he was shown Arkansas hospitality. He was provided with meals and perhaps a little whiskey. And then he was sent on his way with great wishes, and he became the Arkansas Traveler. And so I wanted to present each of you with an honorary Arkansas Traveler Certificate that recognizes from the Governor of Arkansas that you will be authorized and commissioned to serve as an ambassador of goodwill from Arkansas to the people of other states. And so, Bill, please accept this Arkansas Traveler Certificate. And then, Rafael Cruz, I present you with an Arkansas Traveler Certificate as well. I'm sure that will be formally introduced shortly, but I am honored to be here today. Thank you for your engagement, and thank you for reminding us of values that you hold dear. With that, let me turn the microphone back.